Hi, today I will show you some of my empties and how I replace them. I always regard these empties videos as chance to meet my subscribers and to share a bit of my personal life. So I will explain shortly where I've been the last 2 years. Of course, you can skip it as I always put timestamps in the description. As I wrote once in the community tab, I started to go to work from September 2022. Although I don't work full-time, just 60%, I actually didn't really have any spare time for that. I had enough work taking care of about 3 children and doing housework and also my hobbies. I mentioned one time how many hobbies I have got. So I was really devoting my whole free time to this channel. So there's no relaxing in the evening or something like that. So you can probably imagine my struggle with this sudden change. And the first thing which was suffering from this was this channel, obviously, although this was my dream project. And basically everything was suffering, especially my children and household. I told you guys once proudly that I'm eating clean. But after I started to go to work, I couldn't keep that anymore. I was sometimes eating together with colleagues, or I just didn't have any time or energy to cook myself and just ordering some food. And even when I got very stressed, then I was drinking sometimes just to be relaxed a bit. Probably everyone knows how harmful stress is for your health. As a result, I gained weight, got some wrinkles, and generally I was just overwhelmed by the situation. And to make the matter worse, last September I lost one of my 2 cats. That was a very difficult situation. At that time, even my job was suffering from that. Eventually, I got 2 new kittens. But this one remaining cat, who I thought really lonely after her sister was gone, she hates those 2 babies. So, and the effect was just I got myself more work. However, eventually I realized my job is just for money, and this channel is for myself. Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful about my job, that I got it at all. Who wants to have middle-aged woman who was just housewife for 20 years and who has time only in the morning? But still, I can't let my job take control over my life. So a few months ago, I began to put my life together, and I finally cleaned up my diet again. And that was about the time Easter holidays started. So I filmed my last video after 2 years. And now it's another long weekend, so now I'm filming this. So I'm back, but I wouldn't force myself to keep certain schedule. I will just work on videos whenever I find some spare time, just in pace, which I can enjoy the process instead of getting stressed about it. Now to empties. I used to film empties videos every 3 months, but my last empties was more than 2 years ago. So I decided to select just 5 items which I didn't replace with the same thing again. The first item which I want to talk about is foaming cleanser. If you remember, I made once a video about foaming cleansers, which was renewed at that time, and I compared 3 of them, and I decided to go for the pink one. Yellow one would have been more for my skin type, but this sample was really strange. It had very lumpy consistency and also smelled awful. While I was making this video, I was hoping maybe someday someone from Clarins will tell me my sample was gone wrong. But some time ago, one of the viewers commented in that video that her yellow foaming cleanser is very creamy and smells also nice. So I decided to try it myself. So once my pink foaming cleanser was empty, I then finally ordered the yellow one. And it was actually completely different from the sample which I had at that time. It was actually creamy and it didn't smell awful. I still prefer the scent of this pink one, but I think this sample was really off. But after I was using this yellow one for a certain time, the consistency became more and more lumpy. So that was slowly reminding me the sample which I had. And I'm not really sure, but I think the smell also gotten worse. And when I was reviewing those 3 samples, I complained I got some pimples from this yellow cleanser. And I also began to get pimples as well. And at the end, one side of the cheek began to hurt. So I didn't have good feeling about this yellow cleanser anymore, and I really missed the pink one. So although this is not completely empty, I just ordered this pink one. This is a new one. At the moment I'm having some break from this yellow one. I will but try to use this up because actually not much left. But afterwards I will go back to the pink one. And the second item is moisturizer. I uploaded 2 years ago a skincare video. Actually, my skincare routine remained same as in that video, except this moisturizer. At that time, I was using Extra Firming Series, which is for women in 40s. But when I became over 50, I was slowly thinking maybe I should try those moisturizer for women in 50s. Soon afterwards, I did try the moisturizer for women in 50s. They are red ones. I think it's called Multi-Intensive. But I didn't really see any difference. But as I mentioned before, after I started to go to work, I began to get some wrinkles around my cheeks, so near the lips. Of course, that was due to my stress and new lifestyle, which was not very healthy. But still, I was hoping if I can find some cream which could repair my skin damage. Then one time I happened to get a sample of moisturizer for women in 60 plus. That one is called Nutri Lumiere. And actually I could see some of those lines were disappearing. So I was completely excited, and I just bought this full-sized one, and I'm using it now. I must say this is very expensive, so for me it's difficult to recommend it to everyone. But if you can afford it, or if you can save money somewhere else, then I really recommend you to try this. Because this is so expensive, I was somehow scared to buy day and night cream separately. I think I mentioned one time in other MT's video that I asked someone in Clarins that I hate to have day and night cream separately. What should I do? Then she recommended to just have day cream and use it also for the night. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I just have only day cream and use it for day and night, because I didn't want them to get too old and get expired. And the next item is my hand cream. I used to have this hand and nail treatment cream from Clarins for a very long time. But one time they renewed the formula. Later I heard they had to get rid of one perfume, which is called Lilial. That's why they had to reformulate some of their products, and this was also one of them. And afterwards I realized this scent became very strong. I didn't like it that much, although the texture was quite similar to before. I didn't feel much difference. Then at the similar time, they began to have another hand cream which was not there before. This was called Hand and Nail Treatment Balm. And I was just curious what that is. So I ordered it one time when I was running out of this, my usual cream. And that was such an awful choice which I made. It had first very hard consistency. It's really struggle to squeeze it out from the tube. And when I apply it, it's just staying on top of the skin and not getting absorbed at all. And afterwards, I don't have any feeling that my hand become softer or moisturized. And as I continued to use this balm, I even had the feeling my hands got really rough. Maybe my skin was getting certain reaction. I just couldn't believe it. Actually, when I was making those lip oil swatch video, you might have noticed that I had very rough skin on my hands. Because around that time, I then more or less gave up to use up this strange balm, and I ordered my old hand cream again. So shortly before I was filming that video, I began to apply this and hoping my hand will look amazing while I'm filming, but it was not the case because this was too short. So basically, only thing what I can tell you guys is don't buy this. It's a waste of money. And the next item I replaced is my powder. If you remember in my video of my travel cosmetic bag, I already showed that I got a loose powder. The thing is, a long time ago, before I started channel, I used to have loose powder always. That one was mostly from Clarins. But as you guys know, I always have trouble to use up things before they are expired. So on one point I decided to just have only one compact powder and use it for at home and also on the way. But somehow I was really missing loose powder, because I actually prefer loose powder more than compact powder. The reason I decided to have only compact powder was that one I can also carry around. So before I went to Korea at that time, this compact powder was almost empty and I didn't want to struggle with it. So I just bought this loose powder and I really liked it. And I realized the loose powder of Clarins has been changed a bit. Now it's called Eva Matte loose powder. This one is in the color Universal Light. But the container is a bit different. So in the very beginning, I didn't know how to pick out the powder. But what I do is I just throw it a little bit upward, that some of the powder is landing on the net, and then I can pick out little amount. So actually this works better than the old time. In the old one sieve was just sitting directly on the powder. Need to turn it around a bit and then picking out powder. But I think this method is cleaner. Of course, then I also needed a compact powder to carry around in my handbag. I mentioned one time that was such a struggle to find old version of this Bobbi Brown powder because they changed the packaging, which I didn't like at all. And when that powder was empty, so I didn't want to have Bobbi Brown one anymore. And I remembered in old time I had powder from Chanel, which was very pretty. So I was thinking, I want to have that one again. But when I looked up Chanel page, I realized their compact is no longer black. This is skin color on top. So I was reluctant to buy this. But as I repeatedly had a look, the photograph of it on the web page, I thought, okay, this looks actually not that bad. So I purchased this. I think I've got the lightest shade, B10, but just to dust your shiny nose a bit, I don't think the color matters much. And this one has a brush instead of puff, which I really like. This brush is thin enough to put in the compact, but also quite wide, so I can apply quite easily powder on my face. So actually I really enjoy using this powder. Whenever I pick this out, it feels really good, because you carry it around in your handbag, and sometimes maybe you need to look at the mirror or something like that. So I think this is not only a makeup product, but also sort of small accessory. So I really like to pick this out and use, although I don't normally do it in public. And the last item which I finished and had to replace was my eyeliner for my lower lash, because I apply a purple color on my lower lash line. I used to have MAC Technicolor liner in color Purple Dash. But one time I realized that product is discontinued, because I had that very long. I was quite desperate. So I one time chatted with one advisor on their webpage and asked them which would be a right replacement for that shade. And then they recommended me this product. This is called MAC Color Excess gel pencil eyeliner in the shade Graphic Content. So this shade is definitely not same, but this fits also quite nicely to my lower lash. The reason I use purple color on my lower lash is because I naturally have some purple color on this lash line, and if I use black, because my lash color itself is black, but if I use a black liner there, then it looks too harsh. It just becomes too much. But if I just use purple, then it's becoming a bit more intense than without it, but it's not becoming too obvious that I draw some line there. So I really like to use this purple color, and for that use it doesn't matter much, although this is not exactly same as my old one. And this one is also retractable. You can put out and also put back in, which is important, and it's very nice to use. So I'm really happy about this product. So that was it for today. I don't know how often I can make empties videos from now on, but I will do my best. Thanks all for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye.